Hello my witchy friends, welcome to the channel, or welcome back if you are a returning subscriber. My name is Sophie, I'm the Midwest Magician, and I want to welcome you to A Witch's Guide to Spellwork. I've been really looking forward to doing more educational videos this year, and today's video topic was voted on by my patrons. So I wanted to very quickly shout out my patrons and say thank you for selecting today's topic. In this video, we're going to go over what spellwork is, why we would want to perform a spell, as well as how to craft a spell that will yield the most impactful results. We'll be discussing intention, spellwork timing, choosing a method, selecting ingredients and other correspondences, setting your space up, and working your spell. As a quick disclaimer, this is my personal method, so definitely feel free to make tweaks and adjustments to make it fit better for your practice, and as always, take what resonates with you and leave the rest. If you're new to the craft or spellwork in general, you're definitely going to want to watch this video all the way to the end. And if you're a more seasoned practitioner, I still invite you to stick around because who doesn't love a good refresher? This is going to be a long one, folks. I did go ahead and timestamp each section if you wanted to bounce around or revisit something. But with all that said, let's jump in. What is spellwork? Spellwork is the intentional act of directing energy towards a desired outcome using symbolic action, focused will, and layered correspondences. Spellwork can be as simple as lighting a candle with a clear goal in mind, or as complex as a multi-day working with planetary timing, multiple components, spirits, and layered intentions. Neither one is inherently more powerful than the other. I personally believe the true power behind spellwork comes from alignment, clarity, and the execution of the spell. Spellwork exists across cultures, religions, and even time itself. And you don't need to call yourself a witch to perform spellwork. So why would we want to perform a spell? This might be controversial, but contrary to what most practitioners say, intention is not everything. Intention is the foundation of our spellwork and is really what we're building the spell upon. And I personally view intention as the why of our spellwork. Knowing the why or intention of our spellwork will help us with selecting our ingredients, the different tools that we use, as well as the method that we use to perform the spell. But intention alone will not guarantee a successful spell, which is why I am of the mindset that intention is not everything. We perform spells because sometimes effort alone isn't enough. We exist within different systems, be that emotional, societal, spiritual, or energetic, and spellwork allows us to tap in, interact, and manipulate those systems consciously. Oftentimes, people perform spellwork to create change when the mundane has its limits, to support ongoing efforts, not to replace them, to protect themselves or others, as a way to release what no longer serves, as a way to call in new opportunities, healing, clarity, or stability, and also to reclaim power in situations where they may feel disempowered. Spellwork isn't about control for control's sake, or at least I don't like to see it that way. It's really about choosing to engage and participate in the change that you want to see, rather than remaining passive and complicit. So there are a few things that I like to consider before spellwork. I personally always recommend divination before anything. This could look like consulting your trusted tarot or oracle deck, throwing bones, using tasseography or tasseomancy to read your coffee or tea leaves, using your pendulum, or really any other divinatory practice, even if I haven't listed it here. Regardless of your method of choice, divination before spellwork is something I always recommend because it gives you a lot more insight on if a spell should be performed, what kind of spellwork, if any, possible alternatives to spellwork for your given situation, as well as potential outcomes of your working. Sometimes divination will let you know that right now is not a good time to perform this spell, or maybe the intention that you're after is already on its way to you. And if that's the case, why would we waste our energy, our time, and our ingredients on something that's already ours? At that point, it's really just a waiting game. And if you really feel like you need it faster, maybe throw some coffee grounds at the situation and let it come to you. After divination, I think it's also very important to think about if we're going to petition any deities or ask for help from spirits. I do have a video planned talking about petitioning and pacts, but that is in the future. What to know for now is if you are going to call upon a deity or a spirit, is that you 100% need to hold up your end of the bargain. This is a non-negotiable, and if you know that there's a chance that you might not be able to, or you might forget, whatever the case may be, if there's any doubt in your mind, leave them out of it altogether. Skip that entirely and do not call upon anyone to assist in your spell work. The next thing to consider before your spell is timing. We can think about the different moon phases. Full moons and waning moons are really good for letting go, cutting ties, and breaking habits. Although maybe this is controversial, I do think the full moon can be really a catch-all for any type of working or ritual, just because it is so powerful. New and waxing moons are going to be great for setting new goals and calling things into your life. We can also consider the best day of the week for a working using planetary correspondences. Monday corresponds with the moon, and that is going to be great for emotional work, intuition, healing, matters of the home, and dreams. It's ideal for emotional alignment as well as reflective or very nurturing spell work. Tuesday corresponds with Mars, and Mars is all about courage, passion, conflict, protection, motivation, and assertiveness. Workings on Tuesdays are perfect for taking action, protection, breaking through barriers, and overcoming obstacles. Wednesday corresponds with Mercury, which makes it great for communication, learning new things, travel, divinatory practices, and business matters. Wednesdays are great for workings that are surrounding intellect, networking, and overall mental clarity. Thursday corresponds with Jupiter, and that is great for abundance, expansion, success, as well as authority and long-term goals. It's a really good time to focus on workings for growth, prosperity, and bringing in new opportunities. Friday is corresponding with Venus, and that is great for love, beauty, relationships, pleasure, and self-worth. This is a perfect day for workings for attraction, romance, and a lot of self-care work. Saturday corresponds with Saturn, which is great for boundaries, banishing, cleansing, protection, discipline, and endings. It's ideal for setting restrictions, any kind of cord cuttings or banishings, as well as grounding work. And Sunday corresponds with the Sun. This is great for vitality, for gratitude, confidence, clarity, personal power, and success. It's a great day to do workings for personal growth, for health, as well as spells for empowerment. Planetary hours can further amplify your intention, though everything listed is optional. If you need to perform a spell immediately, don't let any of these things stand in your way. The next thing we're going to want to consider before crafting our spell is the method and the elements that we want to use. Water is great for emotional work, healing, intuition, dreams, cleansing, and relationships. Fire is great for passion, quick transformation, courage, destruction of obstacles, and motivation. Earth is really good for stability. It's great for monetary work, protection, grounding, and physical results. And air is good for communication, clarity, intellect, influence, and manifestations through thought. So why would we choose each element? Water holds intention over time, so it's really ideal for long-term gradual results. Fire initiates rapid change, so it's really good for spells that need quick momentum, but it might not be the longest lasting. Earth really anchors our intentions, and it's really good for, again, slow growth and stable results. And air moves our intentions outwards, making it ideal for workings where we need outside influence. Next, we're going to want to consider our correspondences. And correspondences are going to be different items and tools that help amplify our intention. That's going to be things like botanicals, different herbs, different plants, different flowers, metals, crystals, dirt or sand, liquids. It can even be hair clippings, nail clippings, moss, tree bark, different colors, different symbols, different sigils. So really the opportunities for correspondences are endless. And I would never expect anyone to memorize every single correspondence and what it's good for. So I do have a couple of book recommendations to help you out with correspondences, but of course you can always Google things as well. My first book recommendation is Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. This one is going to be great for any kind of plant correspondences that you want to use. Although it doesn't have everything, it is chock full of information. And my second recommendation is Llewellyn's Complete Book of Correspondences. This is a chunky book, and this is not sponsored, by the way. I bought both of these books myself. Moving right along, let's talk about sigils very quickly. Sigils are symbolic representations of your intention. You can draw them on paper, carve them into your candle, or even just visualize them in your mind. They kind of act as a condensed energetic trigger that stores and directs your intention. And these can be written into your spells, they can be destroyed to activate, or again, you can just use them as a visualization tool. And a quick safety note about correspondences: if you're handling hazardous or toxic materials, please make sure to use gloves, cover your eyes, ventilate your space, and practice proper fire safety. I am a natural warrior, so I always keep a box of baking soda next to my workings whenever I'm using open flames, just in case I need to smother them out. But please practice safety when doing your spells. So how do we do it? To craft the most potent spells, we want layers: intention, timing, tools, correspondences, and method. All of these things are considered before spell work, but now is the time to bring them all together. This next part is going to sound a little silly, but it's my favorite way to look at spell work, and maybe it's because I do a lot of kitchen witchcraft, or maybe it's because I am constantly thinking about food. But a good way to think about crafting your spells is to think of it as making a sandwich. Let me explain. Your intention is the bread. It's not the spell itself, but it's what we're building the spell work on and closing it out with. Correspondences are the different sandwich ingredients. When you're making a sandwich, you want it to be cohesive and have everything complement each other, or in Spellwork's case, our intention. Too few ingredients, it's still a sandwich, but it's going to be bland and leave a lot to be desired. Too many ingredients, and it's going to be overwhelming, making it very hard to figure out what flavors we're going for. I personally like to keep my spell work around 3 to 4 correspondences, making sure that I'm really packing in quality correspondences that fit the intention. Timing can be looked at the same way. Are we making this sandwich to eat now? Are we packing it for lunch? Is it for someone else? And when considering timing with our spell work, just like making and eating a sandwich, you can absolutely have a ham and cheese at breakfast time. Is it the most ideal time for that type of sandwich? Probably not. Is it going to get the job done? Absolutely. So that said, if you want to do your glamour magic on a Thursday instead of a Friday, that can still work. You're still fulfilling the goal even if the timing isn't ideal. I hope that made sense to you. I really want to go eat a sandwich now, but let's finish up this video. So the first step in how we're going to do our spell is writing it out. Writing the spell out makes our intention more tangible. So when writing a spell, I like to use active statements that are present tense. So as an example, I would say something like, I am attracting clarity, rather than I want clarity. I like to keep it very concise and very focused, and that includes the correspondences chosen. And then at this point, I would incorporate any spoken or mental incantations. I like to use rhyme, I like to use rhythm, and I like to use repetition and alliteration. I personally like to speak my incantations aloud. I do like to repeat my incantation until it feels complete. And while stating my incantation out loud, I do also visualize the outcome that I would like to see. When writing the spell, I like to draw in the sigil that I'm working with, if I am working with one. And then this is the time that you would also want to carve it into candles or anything else that you're working with. And the last part about writing the spell is when I'm finished, I do like to read it aloud a couple of times just to get a practice run in. So when I'm actually doing the working, I know what's next. I also think it really helps to read the spell aloud a few times to also align subconscious and conscious intent. Step 2 is going to be preparing the space. I personally like to clean and make sure the area is organized. I like to do a quick cleansing just to reset the space, and you can do that with whatever method you'd like. I personally like to use smoke. You can use sound, you can use water, really anything that you're called to. And at this time, we want to ground the space and set the tone. This would be your time to put on music, set up your candles, lay everything out, so that you have it in front of you while you're doing your working. And this would also be the time to cast your circle if that is something you like to do for spell work. Step 3 is going to be preparing yourself. The first thing I like to do is center myself. I do a few deep breaths, clear my head, and let any tension melt away. And this is the time that I really want to focus on the intention and why I want this work to be done. Step 4 is going to be performing the spell. This is when you're going to want to activate your tools, program your intention into your ingredients and correspondences. You can do this with touch, with breath, spoken word, or visualization. I personally like to see it as waking everything up. Once everything is woken up and programmed for the spell, that is when I will begin doing the actual working. So I'll have my Book of Shadows with my spell written out. I'll go through the motions that I have prepared in advance, speak my incantations, visualize the outcome. And at this point, I really want to make sure I'm engaging myself fully in this work. Once my spell work is complete, the next step is going to be releasing that energy. And at this point, once you release the energy, you really need to trust that the work is done and that it is on its way to you. We're not going to sit and obsess over the results. Once the spell is done, once we release the energy, we let it go and we trust that it will come into fruition. At this point, you can visualize the spell work and the energy leaving you and leaving your space and manifesting to come back to you. And then the last step of spell work is disposing of the remains. If you think of your spell work as a sentence, your disposal method is going to be the punctuation that ends it. We can bury things for growth and grounding. However, if you're using salt in your working, please do not put that into the earth. You can choose to burn the remains for banishing or release. You can return organic materials to nature by leaving them at the base of a tree, and of course disposing of any non-biodegradable items just in a regular trash can. At the end of disposal, make sure to clean your tools, cleanse your space, ground yourself, and your work is complete. And there you have it, my friends. This is my personal complete guide to crafting and performing spell work. Something that I really want you to take away from this video is that spell work is just as much about the process as it is about the outcome. Taking the time to be intentional will really end up yielding some very powerful and long-lasting results. And with spell work, the more you practice, the more intuitive it does become. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you were able to learn something new. If you made it to the end, can you leave a little sparkle emoji? I love to see who watches all the way to the end. I am wishing you all a very successful and happy spell crafting journey, and I will see you very soon for the next video. Bye.